Good evening, and thank you all for joining Economically Empowering Our Communities. I'm your co-host, Marcus Wallace, along with my friend, my brother, mentor, father figure. Man, I can go on and on. Mr. Socrates, Garrett, how you doing today?
Marcus, I'm doing extremely well. I was in the gravel pit about 15 minutes ago, and I had to rush here to put on my cowboy hat and join you in the studio for this very informative and important discussion that we're having here at We Believe Digital Studios.
Well, good. I guess if the listening audience is wondering why we decked out in Western View today with our cowboy hats, I've often used this slogan, and I have to first give credit to my good friend, Mr. Ricky Cole, who's definitely been on the front lines of fighting and advocating on the political side for years. But there's a slogan that we created was, you got to understand the difference of a show horse and a workhorse. And so a lot of people that see me out on the streets and in the community, they often ask, what is the difference? And so today I wanted to put these cowboy hats on and kind of talk a little bit about the difference in a show horse and a workhorse. Okay. In the process of us doing our grade cards throughout the community, that's one of the things, Mr. Garrett, I think we need to label at the end of the grade is who's a show horse and who's a workhorse.
Okay.
And first, let me just give my opinion of show horse versus a workhorse. Of course, when you think about show horses, you think about horses that are groomed and are prepared for shows, prepared for the public appearance, I would say. But when you look at the workhorse, as the horse that they use to plow the fields, the horse that's always the one that's doing the tireless labor. And so we have a few workhorses in this community who have really displayed that over the years. And, I have to personally give you acknowledgement. I really think you're a champion workhorse.
Well, thank you, Marcus. I grew up in the country, so I understand horses. I understand workhorses and show horses as well as anybody. From a Western perspective, I didn't get a lot of that, but from a work perspective, I got a great deal of that. And so, in line with what you're saying, the difference in a workhorse and a show horse, as Marcus was explaining, but there's one other caveat here that I want you to understand, that a workhorse will work until they fall out. They will just work until they hurt themselves. Now, a donkey and a mule won't. They're going to stop. A show horse won't. But a workhorse will give it all to you as long as he got it.
That's right. And to basically, I wanted to tie that in today's show, because this is what we need. We need to identify the workhorses and the show horses, and we need to start putting some workhorses in these seats, because on the last show, you came up with some very interesting points. And the next show, I think we need to really put it up on the screen for the listening audience. When you were talking about the amount of African-American school superintendents and all. It is time for us to break that down. And that's going to be part of our workhorse session in the beginning. We're going to break this stuff down so people can really understand where we're coming from. And again, we just want people to understand and know that we're not doing this show just for Socrates and Marcus.
Right.
We are trying to open up some eyes and create some impact, because there are a lot of local businesses that are really struggling to try to keep their doors open. And we know of some little things that we can do to fine tune this situation here in our community.
So Marcus, show horse is there. They make the great speeches. They look the part. But when it comes down to getting in the trenches, side by side, in the community is the trench. When it comes to getting in the trenches, they very seldom show up.
Right.
They're there for the press conference and for the photo op, but they're not there when the work is being done.
Right. And I won't call any names per se, but I've seen some political people over my time out here in the business community who have been in meetings, and when opportunities come up, they listen, and then at the end of the conversation, at the end of that segment, they would say, who African American are y'all working with in this city, or have y'all reached out to the African American community on these opportunities or whatever? And so, we need more of that energy right now.
And so let's set the stage about that. Why would they do that? Why would they say, have you talked to an African American firm? Have you considered partnering with an African American firm? And why would they do that? It's because Black businesses get less than 1% of contracts for goods and services in the state of Mississippi. And Marcus, during this legislative session, there was a lot of talk about public education. There are teacher pay raises. There were all kinds of talks about social programs. But there was not one conversation and not one bill offered by anybody to mandate that at least 15% of all contracts for goods and services from the state of Mississippi goes to minority businesses.
Let me ask you a question. When is the last time, I know back here, I'm going to say 10 years ago, there used to be outreach meetings where all the African-American let me just say local. We've established that it's black and black right now, but I'm going to say local. There were times that there were meetings and seminars and things that were held that would give us forecasts of opportunities coming down the pipeline. When is the last time something like that has happened around here?
It's been a long time.
Long time.
Long time. And it used to be that on every council meeting, the question would be asked, is there minority participation on this project before we vote on it? Every meeting. And I give Louis Armstrong credit as president of the city council. He stood firm in that regard. And he felt like, that the council had more power than the mayor. And so when he says that, we want to see African-American businesses involved in these contracts for goods and services, he had to vote to say yay or nay as to whether that contract was awarded. I don't see that anymore, Marcus.
And it has truly been a decrease in it. And not only has it been a decrease in those meetings, there's been a decrease in adopting schools. There's been a decrease in probably helping churches with different projects that they may have working, and they need sponsorship or donations. So my point I'm trying to make is, it trickles down. It trickles down. And when you're not doing those things up top to keep the revenue circulating and the dollar circulating in the city, eventually the mom and pops down low are going to feel the wrath as well.
They are. And Marcus, I got a call just before the show that they want some help at Golden Keys. Um, I don't know if it's called a nursing home, but it's senior citizens live there for sure. And they want some help with providing food for the senior citizens there at Golden Keys. And I got the call and I told them, I said, look, normally I would have said yes immediately.
In a heartbeat.
You can count on me to do that. I told them, I said, well, look, I got a show coming on at 5:30 and I'm going to be talking to Marcus Wallace. And now he's been a champion in supporting this community. And what's your thoughts on the Golden Keys situation, Marcus?
You know, my philosophy has always been, if it's the elderly, the homeless, and the children, without hesitation, I've said yes in a heartbeat. But I have to be honest with you, it's hard to say yes these days.
Why is that, Marcus?
Because the dollar is not circulating in this community, and a lot of us, it has hurt our businesses. And I'm not ashamed to say it on public radio, on public broadcasting. Some of the decision making that's going on now has really hurt my business. I still try to do as much as I can. I just completed a project at JPS. Got a big project coming up for the children down at Bolton Edwards Elementary in about 30 days. But it is very difficult to do these outreaches when the dollar is not circulating.
Well, Marcus, I read this book, Who Moved My Cheese, long time ago. And clearly it was the story of a mouse that several mice, and one decided that he would continue to go back to the same place where the cheese has always been. And the other one says that, I must venture out into the unknown and looking for new opportunities. And so, the one has to make that decision. You can keep banging your head against the wall here in your hometown. And it's a shame if you can't win at home. If you can't win at home, you're not really expected to win on the road.
That's right. That's right. And on the road is really tougher than talking about it. Again, I don't have a problem being honest. I've been in business almost 30 years. I have not had a lot of good luck being on the road. I've lost money doing projects on the road. It just does not, it haven't added up over the years.
Well, because your span of control is different. You have the ability as a small business person to touch things. And when you expand out, you can expand out or even up in volume. The control spectrum shifts. And sometimes the infrastructure is like flying a plane. If you take it to a different altitude, then it shifts. And so you have to gain some experience in navigating that difference. And that takes time. And I don't think people appreciate the work that small business people do, Marcus. I don't think they understand the risk that you take and how you put your family on the line every day, trying to provide jobs and opportunities for others and make a good living for yourself. I don't think people appreciate that.
And I agree. And in my opinion, I think small businesses are the heartbeat of a community, really. I mean, you got the big companies, of course, but I think the small businesses is definitely the heartbeat, of a community. And we had a lot of small businesses that have closed up in this city.
And a lot of Black small businesses. Now, I know you focus on local more than I do. And so I have my reasons for focusing on Black is because when I look at all of the mandated participation goals, like at the Mississippi Department of Transportation under federal contracts, they are required to have 15% minority participation on those contracts. Now we're talking about billions of dollars that are being awarded by the federal government for infrastructure, maintenance, roads, bridges, et cetera. And they have no problem meeting that 15% goal. And they meet it because if they want the federal money, then they are able to find participation. If I go locally and ask the school boards and ask the airport authorities and the county and the cities, and they'll say, well, we don't have anybody that we can use. And so, but at the MDOT, they find minority participation, but Marcus, they find it with white-owned female businesses.
Right.
Now, how did we get so many female-owned businesses? Because the husband decided, I'm gonna put the business in your name.
Right.
Now they qualify as a minority business, but yet they eat dinner at the same table as the majority business was eating for the last 100 years.
And you know, we have to add too. We know a colleague, Asian owned business has done well around here as well. Because I think both of us know one colleague she's done extremely well with the opportunities throughout this state.
She has done extremely well. I remember when she was in college up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. She came out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee with Charlie Woods. I think it was Charlie. I forget Charlie's last name, but Marcus, that was a time when an individual owned the wastewater treatment plant, Charlie Bird, and Charlie Bird owned the plant. Just like individuals own water plants and throughout the states, you know, those things are individually owned, but Black folks don't own any. Black folks don't have co-ops and things of that nature where they run water departments and plants within their community. And so it's tremendously important that we teach our people where the opportunities are.
Absolutely. Teach, educate, all the above, because I tell you, you know, as a contractor, you see most contractors fight over renovation jobs and building houses, but it wasn't until I got heavy into the politics side that I didn't even know that when you flush your toilet, somebody getting paid off of every bit that's going down the toilet.
Every time it happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's part of a city's infrastructure. And that leads us into, Marcus, the issue on water and wastewater, because I'm certain now that our local elected officials are unhappy with the state legislature authority that they put in place where Jackson doesn't have a majority representation. Now, Marcus, when you allow a state where we get less than 1% of contracts for goods and services to be able to make decision about who gets contracts in our local government, it doesn't bode well for Black businesses having an opportunity to grow.
Right. And I was yesterday, I was at Sports Hall of Fame, Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame board meeting. And one of my colleagues there, who was an attorney, he called Cajun guy, we were sitting there talking before the meeting, and we got to talking about this water authority thing. And I told him, I said, man, it's totally unfair for representatives who don't represent Jackson to be making decisions for Jackson. I said, y'all know that's not right. We couldn't go anywhere nowhere in the state and get on a board on the coast or wherever and make decisions for the coast. And he absolutely agreed with me. He said, no, that's not right.
It's not right.
But we got to have voices screaming to the roof before it happens.
And we got to have leadership that holds the line, Marcus. You know, our current mayor, Mayor Horn, having worked in the legislature and the Senate for so long, had more faith in what the legislator would do than you and I would have. We have watched the history of things and know that they can't be trusted when it comes to allocating funds and opportunities to Black Jackson. Marcus, the governor vetoed funding for the airport authority. And I get that because he said that why should he fund anything that spent all these dollars fighting the state in litigation? And so I said, he got a reason for what he's doing there. I hear him, but then he turns and he would not approve. He vetoed the funding that was going to Pete Brown's golf course.
And when you really look at the funding that the state gave Jackson, 75% of it is going to Northeast Jackson. You got 13, 14 million that's going over to LaFleur's Bluff. It's going to also, I think some is going over to the
children's
part and all that. But when you look at, like you said, Black Jackson, as we say, think about, what is it, 5 million, but it's broken up so much you're not going to really see it on these projects of substance, I would say.
What is 5 million to the largest city that you got in the whole state of Mississippi? Jackson is the largest city in Mississippi. And Mississippi is represented by over 1.2, 1.5 million African Americans. We have more Black folk in Mississippi than they got in Burkina Faso.
And Representative Chris Bell had made a statement. He was, I think he was trying to get cameras for his area, $100,000 or something, and they turned that down.
Vetoed that.
But when you really look at it, if we're gonna fight crime and we don't have resources to fight crime, we're fighting a losing battle. And so the only way I know to fight is y'all gotta vote.
You gotta vote.
Y'all gotta vote.
And then we gotta understand we can't put people in place based upon popularity. We're gonna have to vote for people that understand the plight of African Americans, that they are committed and they've been vetted, and so they understand that. And that's why we offered up, Marcus, a contract with Black businesses.
I like that. I like the contract.
We gotta have a contract.
I like the contract in the grade card.
You like? Well, the end of the quarter is coming up soon.
That's right. That's right.
And so we want to make absolutely certain that you know what it is that we are asking for. And we had a list of things about that. And we simply say that we must control our own dollars in the African American community. We must build a strong economy in our community. We must control our dollars. We must have a contract with Black America worldwide. Now, Marcus, why is that important?
Well, having a contract with Black America worldwide, I think that at least certifies and confirms that we at least got the Black and Black part
worked out. Right. And also 80% of the Black business owners have roots in Mississippi. And so they got to reach back and they got to provide opportunities as well. Now, you're a sports agent and you've had some some lottery picks, I believe, that you represented. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we always talk about they should give back.
And again, no one has gotten the talent that we've had. When you look at the pool of athletes that have come out of the state of Mississippi, that's $1 billion worth of resources, but nobody has gone to them and said, do you want to invest in this Western hotel or these big developments that's going on? Like I said, we're missing a lot of the nuggets that I feel we have in this city and not utilizing them. And, these guys get invited to other cities and they invest their monies in other cities. And, I'm very, one thing, you got to start from somewhere. I am very eager to make sure the audience is aware of, like I said, these superintendents, these directors, because if we can just start off small and, the first phase of this contract is to at least get them to say, hey, these projects under 75,000 that we only require quotes, we're going to at least make sure a percentage of that African Americans, we put them where they can reach and grab them.
I like the 100%.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be a little conservative. I understand.
I know
but if do you know how big of a difference that would make if we can just get them to do the little contracts first, the little opportunities first, we could really get some dollars circulating back in the city.
Do you know of a African American owned office supply business in Jackson?
No, I don't. I used to.
I used to.
Yeah,
too.
I don't know.
There is not one.
And see, that's what I was saying a few minutes ago. 10 years ago, we kind of knew what everybody was doing. If you go back further, 25, 30 years ago, man, it was really on point, because I used to hear people talk. Like I said, whenever the idea of insurance came up, it was a household thing for Richard Porter's name to come out of folks' mouths. Right. It was a household name for Matt Thomas to come out of folks' mouths. Right. If you didn't have good credit, it was a household name for Al Williams and Robert Williams' name to come out of folks' mouths and say, go see them. They got you covered.
Right. Don't forget Howard Kitchens.
Howard Kitchens, absolutely. Again, that's why we need this Black Business Museum.
We are going to get that. We are up against a commercial break. We're going to come back and continue this discussion about how we economically empower our communities. It is critically important that we're doing that. Now, if you're watching us on Facebook, then share this program with your friends and family. Send us stars. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these shows. Do the same on YouTube. Our channel is growing each and every day. You won't find this conversation on the local media. Nowhere will they be having these kinds of discussions. So support this network. We're going to go to break and we'll be right back.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using Socrates Garrett ENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
But as always, we really appreciate you tuning in each and every Tuesday at 5:30 as Marcus and I talk about how we economically empower our community. And Marcus, in the beginning of this show, you wanted me to have on my cowboy hat.
Wanted to, just want to keep the show exciting and bring some creativity to it. Again, I think, like I said, this workhorse versus show horse thing has been a very catchy slogan, and even during the campaign on the Mayor's Trail, you heard me talk about the show horse, workhorse. And again, like I said, I give credit to Mr. Ricky Cole, who has a lot of wisdom when it comes to politics, and we hope to get him on the show with us one day.
We need to.
Absolutely.
Now, Marcus, the engineers put something on the screen there. A show pony versus a workhorse. The show pony, according to the engineer, loves attention and the spotlight. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Brings flair and style.
I agree.
Focuses on being noticed. Do we have any other any show?
A whole lot of them.
They want to be seen.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Talks more than they deliver.
Well, we got a whole lot of that. Whole lot of that.
We got a lot of show pointers around here. Then.
A whole lot of show pointers. I can't wait till the grade card come out.
Now the difference over here on a workhorse, it says he's quiet, steady, does the real work.
Absolutely.
Marcus, how many employees have you had at one time in your career?
I've ramped up to 138 at one point.
138 folk. How many of those were black folk, Marcus? Percentage-wise, you would say.
90%.
90% black folks. So now what we're saying, if you got 138 folk, then you got over 100 black families that are dependent on you each and every week. How often did you pay them?
Every week.
Every week.
Every week.
Not every 2 weeks.
Not every 2 weeks. Every week.
Every week.
Every week.
Did you have to make any loans during the week?
Yes.
And so
everybody's you're gonna have some issues now. You're gonna
have some issues.
And I understand that. But when the business is rolling and the dollar's circulating, I don't mind blessing. Absolutely.
You can share. Marcus, the workhorse focuses on results and not recognition. How about that?
Absolutely. Similar, I guess, slogan that I use is I always focus on inspiring instead of being iconic.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's real good. Inspiring others rather than being the number one.
Right. It's lonely at the top.
HNIC.
Right. It's lonely at the top, man. You can't. I'm a true believer. You work hard, you play even harder. And you can't play at the top if you're the only one up there. So I truly believe in helping lift others.
Lifting others is the very next point. Lift others and strengthens the entire community. Now, Marcus, I realized this in 1975. I was sales manager for Xerox Corporation. And I told senior management, I said, I have 2 individuals that should be promoted to sales manager. And they said, well, that's the job. That's your job. I said, yeah, I know. I said, but they're ready. We can't hold them back any longer. They need to be sales managers. He said, well, what are we going to do with you? I said, well, I should be branch sales manager. I got to make room for them.
Right.
Lifting others lifted me. So if you want to get ahead and you want to grow, try growing someone else.
And if you really did your research, you would see that that's one of the major problems in this city when it comes to the young men. Nobody is really talking to them and guiding them. I've had over the last 2 weeks, I've had a couple of young men call interested in getting in construction. And man, I was very excited because, I want to teach them the right way to get into it. Get your credentials and they got to understand and realize when you get your credentials, that opens up a whole different door for you.
Right.
If you just become a contractor and you don't have your credentials, then you got to stay under the 50,000 radar, or if you risk getting caught, they got some serious fines out at State Board of Contractors. But if you get your credentials on the early end, this could be a very prosperous career for you.
So we want our viewers out there to understand that we represent workhorses. Now, there was a gentleman called Frank Melton. He was a past mayor in Jackson. He was different, Mark.
Oh, man, I tell you.
I don't know if he was a workhorse or a show horse, but he was different.
Yeah, we got to find another word for him. But when you were mentioning minority participation a little while ago, I started to interject because Mayor Milton, he wasn't interested in minority participation.
No, he wasn't.
He went far and beyond the percentage. He was like, "No, if you can do the work."
Right.
And so that's one of the good things I can say about him. You know, Lord rest his soul. But
Lord rest his soul.
he
was
definitely,
different.
yep, he definitely cowboyed the situation.
He was a workhorse. I remember he was standing in the middle of Lakeland Drive with a machine gun across his chest, stopping traffic. Said he was checking to see. Well, I just want to know how you doing.
Yeah, and when it comes to government business and stuff, there are processes. Well, many don't know the story of when we had the 2008 storm. He was headed back from New Orleans, and he saw these monster trucks at the truck stop, and he told them, "If y'all want to make some money, follow me to Jackson." Now, hadn't gone through no quotes, no bids, nothing. It just brought these folks, and I tell you, when I saw those trucks, I was mesmerized like a little kid. I went and found me one. I think you did too.
I did too. Frank stopped the school bus once on 220, and just basically said, "I just need a hug." He was that kind of flamboyant guy, and he was different. So I don't know whether he was a workhorse or a show horse, but he is one that we do remember. Now, Marcus, you mentioned the museum, the Black Business Hall of Fame, and we are certainly going to be doing that. Do you have names, individuals that you think that we should be looking at for our first round of inductees?
Absolutely. I have not really looked a lot at the current. I've only looked at people who have passed.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair and respectful to make sure we start out with some of those, because we've had a lot of workhorses who have stories that need to be heard,
stories that need to be told, and
success stories at that. It was some struggles, but they made it through, and there are definitely some success stories. Mr. Dr. James Anderson. I have to toot my father's horn because he was impactful in this city for his business. Jerry Owens, Mr. Daffé, who recently passed, Richard Porter. Oh man, I can give you a long laundry list of these guys because I've studied all of these guys over the years. A lot of folks. I used to see Mr. Bill Dilday. He used to come to my nightclub all the time. But man, it was about a couple of years into the nightclub business. It was when I learned how heavy and strong Bill Dilday was back in the day.
Well, I believe he was the general manager at the TV station, right?
WLBT, absolutely.
But Marcus, Black folk owned WLBT at one time.
Dr. Henry.
Our community, our children don't know that.
They don't know it. And like I said, this is really one of the main reasons why I think we definitely need to, work on this museum. I talked to Dr. J just this past week and told her that we would definitely be getting with her on trying to, find some funding or whatever. Yeah. But I think it's definitely needed. So the young people and, some of the adults know some of these success stories.
Yeah. And Dr. J, in her own right, she's a phenomenal young lady, but her father was absolutely a pioneer. Got locked up and went to prison, first mayor up in Chula, Mississippi, and Carthan just paid a real price, man. And we go on back. We go all the way back up to Greenville, Greenwood area. Charlie Bannerman came in here with Delta Foundation and Mace. And man, it looked like they died young, Marcus. They looked like they died so young. They had such an impact on this state, and this community, and this world. And to make something grow in Mississippi, you got to be a talented, special person, Marcus.
Absolutely. And we want to make sure to the ladies, because I've said this for years, we got a strong base of African-American women, successful African-American women in this city. So we definitely are not forgetting about you all as well. We want to include everybody when it comes to this museum.
No, we have an outstanding group of ladies that have come such a long ways. Summers Hotel, his wife ran Summers Hotel, Tim Summers, His father had the only hotel that blacks could stay at back in the day, Marcus. It was right over there on Pearl Street in that area there. And they had the little subway lounge down there underneath it. And they were featured on CNN years and years ago. So, yeah, Bo Brown's sister was a pioneer in this freedom fight march that we've had. And everybody knows the names of those that like Fannie Lou Hamer and all those. But you're right. We got a list of people that will be inducted in the Black Business Hall of Fame. And so that everybody will understand, the only qualifications that you have to be inducted into it is, one, you have to be Black, and two, you have to have made a payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marcus, if you have never made a payroll, you really don't understand.
No. And you know, that's when you talk about employees, man, I tell you, Friday, you know, as a Black, I know there are several Black businesses in this city that have scratched their head on a Friday.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Yeah.
You know, that payroll can get very strong, especially if the opportunities are not, you know, flowing like they should.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about some things on how Black business survive difficult times. You've been doing this for 30 plus years, and I've been doing this for 40 plus years. And so we've seen a few things.
That's right.
We've come through some things and understand that, you know, we don't have enough money to make payroll at 1 o'clock. And by 5 o'clock, you're able to make payroll by whatever means necessary. I mean, we didn't go out and hurt nobody and do anything like that. But you knew that you had to find a way.
Yeah, you had people like Thad Bridges and my good friend, Mr. Greg Thompson. You had, you know, these bankers and folks that understood and believed in what you were doing. And, you know, this is another reason why I'm so glad that we now have this show, because, you know, Socrates, you know, there's a lot of people think that we got it made around here. A lot of folks think that we've made a lot of money and think that the road has been easy, but we're literally on this show discussing and sharing with you all some of the real live stories that we've had and others have had, and it has not been easy, but I do believe when you do right and you share what you have, God continues to add favor to your life, and that's really been what has helped me. Man, I tell you, if it wasn't for God's favor, some of these situations I wouldn't have, made it through. And some of these decision making that's going on around here that's hurting businesses, some people would not make it if they, didn't, do what's right and lean on God.
Well, I tell you, I know that I'm in church every Sunday because I need to be revitalized. I need to know that there is hope, that things will get better, that we will succeed. We put in the work. And then, Marcus, this is what really gets me about some of our white brothers over on Jackson Jamaliah and on Clay Edwards and on shows. We get up every morning and we strap on the role of finding work and employ our people. And for someone that doesn't understand how hard that is in the African-American community, then for them to say that we are grifters or that we're the set-aside Negroes, pass-throughs, just hateful stuff. They have no appreciation for the effort that is required for us to do what we do. We're self-made men, Marcus, that nobody gave us anything. We had to go out there and make it happen with your hands and your intellect.
That's right. You know what really gets me is, when I was growing up, grown folks just didn't let children see things. Nowadays, and sometimes I ask myself if the leaders really sit back and really think about these type of things. When you see we have a president and foolishness that he does every day, when you see the Democrats and Republicans basically acting like they talk about gangs, but they act just like they act worse than gangs.
They do.
Does anybody really sit back and say the children are watching? And my thing is, how do you expect children? Children definitely go by what they see. How do you expect children to do the right thing and act right when they see all of these grown folks basically acting a fool? Excuse my expression.
Well, they are acting a fool, and our children are acting a fool. And it becomes one is that they see it and they act it out. That's why, these video games have been harmful to our children. They see so much violence. And when you see so much violence, Marcus, that's why sometimes they say, do not try this at home. Because we know we see it, we will try it.
Right.
From those images and those kind of shows that penetrate their young minds. And Marcus, I was demoing a house over in West Jackson, and a 9-year-old boy walked up to me. Marcus, he was carrying an AK-47 and his pants was down below his behind. He was sagging in the worst way.
Yeah, we're in some tough times, and also I think we definitely be a good time to acknowledge our prayers are with the family in Shreveport, man. To lose 8 children, such as what happened day before yesterday, that was really sad.
I had not heard the story, Marcus.
Oh, absolutely. A young lady, she had 4 children and of her own, and then the gentleman that she got with, they had 4 kids, and he just, I guess they're still further investigating, but he snapped and he shot supposedly the wife and the girlfriend, but he killed all the children. 8 children ranging from years 1 to 13, man.
Tell me he wasn't black, Marcus.
Absolutely. He was black.
He was black.
Yep. And I was glad to see the governor stepped up, and they're going to take care of all the funeral expenses for the children. So, that was good.
Our governor said that?
The Louisiana governor.
Oh, the Louisiana
Yeah,
governor.
Louisiana governor. It's happening in Shreveport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we're living in some tough times. People are just, I think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of stress and depressions, which is no excuse to harm children or women, but it's just a lot going on.
Well, Marcus, let's be real about it. Now, I don't know what's going on down there in Louisiana, but in Mississippi, we the poorest state in the nation. We might have moved to 49th, I'm not sure, but we've been the poorest state in the nation for a long time, and we were listed as the most corrupt state in the USA for a long time. And no one wants to make the correlation between poverty and crime.
It's real.
It's real, Marcus.
It's real.
It's real not only for black people, but it's real for poor whites. And so there is a definite tie between the lack of opportunity and high crime. So it would seem to me if the leaders in our cities, counties, states understood that, they said, what, we're going to have to put programs in that part of town where there's high crime. We're going to have to put businesses there. We're going to have to put grocery stores there. We're going to have a jobs program there in that part of town. But Marcus, have you seen a business come to South Jackson lately?
No, I haven't. And I personally think that it's going to take a major development such as moving the stadium out west. I think the Metro Center would have been an excellent piece of property to put the stadium.
It's still sitting there
Yep.
dormant.
Yeah, and I just don't think this brick factory is going to do the job.
I don't think so either. But and let's talk about that for a minute. Hinds County, black. How many black folk on the board in Hinds County and the board of supervisors?
5.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them black.
All of them.
100% black.
150.
And so Hinds County board can put 15, 20 million in a parking garage in Fondren, but can't put 5, 10 million in developing the Metro Center in West South Jackson.
I don't understand it. I asked you earlier about when was the last time we've had the outreach meetings, but I got another question for you. When is the last time you've seen the entire Jackson Hinds County delegation in one room making decisions and coming out of that room with decisions that they all have made, and they're going to the top chair to be the voice for the people? When the last time have you seen that?
I have not.
And so that. These are, to me,
and they don't vote as a block either, Marcus.
Right. And to me, these are the things that we gotta get that taken care of before we get out here and try to encourage the people to do things. The examples that we're displaying right now are not good.
They're not good. Marcus, the Republicans all vote the same way for the same thing. They all vote. They don't break rank.
I did not know how strong of a coalition I would say that they have until I ran for transportation commissioner, and I had to go out to McLean. I think that's the little zoo in the place where they got good breakfast. Man, the room was packed, and you could see the ones that don't get along, but they in one room.
They in one room.
Now
they're gonna vote together for what benefits them.
Exactly.
Well, why black folk can't vote together on what benefits us, Marcus?
Exactly.
Why they let distractors get in their head and say it's wrong? Why don't we have outreach meetings which shows the opportunities from Hinds County? Why don't we see those things from our people, Marcus? I think we're going to have to make some changes, Marcus.
We got to make some changes. Because the Jackson I saw 10 years ago, the Jackson I saw 30 years ago is not the same. And I think it's, people saying, again, Jackson is rising, but I love the slogan. I want to make sure people understand that. I love the slogan, but it's got to match. My father always told me, you can't, if your coat and pants don't match and you're wearing high button shoes, something wrong with that. And it's not, Jackson is not rising if the makeup of Jackson is not rising. Damian, I can't remember his last name, but the owner of Jackson Memorial. If anybody remembers Jackson 15, 20 years ago, it was a little bitty house right there that was a funeral home. This man has came and just transformed a whole block, have spent millions. And you mean to tell me this city and county delegation won't even go pave the road in front of his?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do things like that to complement the businesses, to show that you appreciate them investing this kind of money in your city. But when you don't do these things, that makes a person feel very, very cheap, I would say, when they go home every day. And so we got to change the mindset.
We got to change
the mindset.
Marcus, we're going to have to be like a baseball coach. Now, the coach sees that you're not getting anybody out. You're the starting pitcher, but you're not getting anybody out, Marcus. So he first, he'll send the pitching coach out to the mound, have a conversation with you about you're not getting any opportunities to our people. You're not providing any opportunities for our folk. You're not investing any of the monies in our communities. So you essentially coach out there. But then when the manager comes to the mound, Marcus, he don't have no conversation. He just said, give me the ball.
And go to the dugout.
And go to the
Right.
dugout.
I'm glad you used the baseball analogy because, you know, true enough, we get locked out and we get the crumbs, you know, all the time. But it's okay. You know, if we don't get a home run, I think right now we should focus on just getting RBIs. Get on the base. Get on the base. Do the small things that we can do. Go down there and pave that little strip in front of this man's funeral home. Go up there by the hospitals and pave that little strip there to show the people that's coming into the hospital that at least we trying. We got to show some effort. And I'm telling you, I really believe, and I'm just one opinion, I believe this is why the Republicans and the Caucasian side really are not caring a lot about doing a lot of things for us around here because we're not even showing the little things that we could be doing.
Right. And they will tell you in a minute if your own people are not doing it, why you expect us to do it?
Absolutely.
I mean, they have said that to me on numerous occasions. And so it makes you think. You said, you know, they got a point. They got a point. If the minority participation in the city of Jackson is less than 10% on construction projects, then how can I fuss at the state?
And, you know, a lot of us, you know, may have grew up in poor situations or the house may not have been the best. But one thing you rest assured, the yard was cut and the house was clean. Clean up. If we just do a massive cleanup in this city. See, cleanup involves more than picking up paper. You know, these streets are flooding around here because these creeks and ditches have not been cleaned out. You know, if we do the simple things, I guarantee you people will start noticing and wanting to help. I take my hat off to Locke Ward. You know, jumped out here, cleaning up the city free of charge. But, you know, now people are starting to invest, you know, monies into, you know, I guess his GoFund or whatever. But, you know, he took the initiative to do that, you know, and he got a little help. You got some African-American businesses that will do that. If we get a little help, you know, we would get that, you know, we would do that if we get that kind of help. But, you know, no one wants to help do those things. Mr. Cheatham has been fighting for years to get lighting over at Grove Park. Yeah. Grove Park was one of the reasons I think that helped me turn out the way I did. Yeah. I played baseball over there. That was a big thing back in the day. Yeah. But we got to start somewhere. We got to start somewhere.
Grove, there's so much history here. Grove Park, you know, you're talking about Mr. Cheatham. We're talking about Dutch Welch. We're talking about Caleb Hampton. We're talking about folk over there. And then our folk don't know that Pete Brown played in the Masters and he got his start at Grove Park. People don't understand the importance of that, investing in children at that age, that they could go on and become a star athlete. And that's why the golf course on Woodrow Wilson is named after Pete Brown. They should call him Pete Grove Park Brown, because that's where he came from, right over there on that street where Grove Park's located. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Marcus, as always, man, you know, time flies.
It does.
We've reached that point in time. We want to encourage our viewers out there to call into our show. We really want to take the heat. 601-387-2684. And, you know, you're welcome to call in, and you'll see reels and shorts of this show being posted on all social media platforms. And I know, Marcus, we had over 300,000 views on our last show in our reels and clips. So, you know, people are watching.
Absolutely. Well, you know, this week we had cowboy hats on. Y'all stay tuned and keep your seatbelt on, because there's no telling what we may have on next or what we may do next. We want to definitely keep the excitement coming, and we want to continue to have real conversations, give you real facts, and attempt to create some real impact in our city.
With that being said, y'all have a great evening out there, and good night.
Good night.